cuts, how well it takes an edge, how well it holds up. And those are definitely the important things. Well, Richard, what's your final take?
Well, I don't know how deep you want to get into this, but I have a problem with a recent message I came across, I'd say about 3 or 4 days ago, that either the original name of Elenin was Yelenina. It had a Y in the front and an A at the end. Okay.
The way I understand it, that's what Leonid named it.
Well, yeah,
in
but
Russian,
there's
it came out as
significance to that name, and I'll tell you what it is if you want to go that deep, Marshall.
Sure. Yeah. Well, it got my eye because my wife's name is Yelena.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, I did a search on that name.
It's the light.
And, you know, and it's a Russian name, of course. But I did a search on that name, and you'd think that, you know, you can get just about anything. If I typed in that name, how come I didn't get a web page talking about how to cook a Russian goose or, you know, how to drive a cab in Russia? But you know what came up?
What?
You won't believe this. Technical papers on the properties, the scientific paper written by a scientist called by that name. Technical papers dealing with the rotation qualities of a white dwarf. Let that sink in a minute.
Ooh. Woo.
If you type in that name, what I got out of it almost immediately, I'm talking about the top of the search engine, was technical papers dealing with the properties of rotating black holes, rotating white dwarfs, and the rotating jet qualities, jet being the emissions or material emissions, and also magnetic properties. So, you know, you see that and you say, whoa, what's going on here? So that's my ask. Why? Why would, you know, I don't get it if it's just a comet.
It just seems to follow in line with elites getting their jollies. You know, they know they've got most of the folks out there confused. Terrell's absolutely spot on. He nailed it. You know, this is in a global cataclysm. The people that are going to do the bulk of the dying are the ones who just don't see it coming. And if they're dumb lucky and they survive it, they're again going to be the ones that do most of the dying after the event because they're not going to be prepared for surviving. And it's going to whittle down the population pretty darn quick. And with oil infrastructure, energy infrastructure decimated, and it will be, the fact of the matter is food production, even if we could maintain food production at current levels, could only feed at tops maybe half the life on the planet. And the rest of the people are going to know hunger and death in a horrible way. And for those of you who can't imagine it, you ought to read a book called The 900 Days. And it is about the siege of Leningrad during World War II. That city had 1 million people starved to death by the Nazis. They laid siege to it for 900 days. And, you know, I'll never forget, you know, whenever time I hear people talking about, you got to get gold, you got to get silver, you got to get gold, you got to get silver. Again with them damn gold brokers. Well, I met this one gal, and she got to know me and liked me, took me in her confidence, and finally she, it was the day before I was coming back to the U.S. I had travel business. I was doing tours, planning setup stuff, you know, go out and site visits and the not. And we were just sitting there having tea, and she brought out a box. I opened it up, and I looked in there, and good God, I'd never seen so many gold Rolexes in my life. Rings, bracelets, and it was all the real stuff. I mean, my God, she had a fortune in that box. And I said, why don't you just sell it and do something with it? go out and have a spree, enjoy what's left of your life. And she said, no, it's my shame. It's why I keep it. I said, it's your shame? And she said, yeah. During the siege of Leningrad, she worked in the bakeries. And at that time, the bakeries were mixing sawdust with the flour so that they could bake more bread. And if you came up to the counter with your little coupon, she'd be the one slicing it. And for a gold Rolex encrusted with diamonds, you got a little extra thick slice, a few more grams of sawdust.
Wow.
Now, the point here is take what it costs to buy that gold Rolex or a watch half as nice, and instead of waiting to trade it for sawdust, use that money to go to the store and to buy the supplies and get them now, while everybody else is out there going, oh, gold and silver, gold and silver. You know, it's blue light special thinking. All right, everyone's doing that. While they're doing that, you very quietly just go in there and you start getting canned goods and staples and everything, and as much as you can. Not only for yourself, but set aside some for strangers. Because you're going to come into situations where if you haven't got a cavern like Terral does, way underground, you're going to have to deal with that. People showing up hungry at your door. What are you going to do? How do you turn them away? What happens when they find out you got something? Those are the kind of things you should be thinking about now. So, gentlemen, I think we have really had a great show, a good kickoff to this series, and I look forward to the next time we do it. And when we have something to talk about, we will. That's for sure. And with that, I'm going to close the show. And again, I want to thank each of you, Ed,
Marshall,
Richard,
Marshall,
and Terral. Mm-hmm.
Marshall, you didn't give me a chance to give my final word.
Oh my God. Okay.
I'll go
we got
fast.
time.
I'll go fast.
Please.
Okay.
Oh, no, you don't have to. You know, you don't have to.
Surviving this thing is a three-step process. You need to identify the threat, you need to create the contingency plans, and then you need to know when to execute them. If you fail any of those three, then you're not going to survive this. My motto is you're hoping for the best and you're preparing for the worst. Okay, you need your food, your water purification, your survival supplies, your guns, your ammo. And then if anything's left, you have paper assets, put that into small denomination silver for barter. For those who have little resources, they say, well, I don't have much money. I don't have much money. You put your money into water purification. It's very important because people are going to pay through the nose for one glass of water. That's coming.
That's right.
Okay, you're planning for an extended camping trip. That's what you're planning for. This particular threat, you're required to go underground. You just have to find out how to do it. Those who want to survive, you're going to find a way. More people are going to die from bad water after this event than all the other events combined. From every other reason, they're going to die from bad water. Okay, go down to the drugstore when you can and get acidophilus for your stomach. Keep those pills. You get $5 for 100 of them. One pill can save your life whenever you kill all the bacteria in your stomach. More people are going to die that way than any other way after this event. So you need to do that. Get that into your survival supply. And then the people that are going to come to harm you, they're not the government. They're not the Chinese. They're not all these other boogeymen that they're trying to create for you. The people that are going to come to get you are going to be hungry. And that's why you need a group. You need a large group so that you can watch each other's back. Because as soon as you try to hold up with as a small group, this has happened before with Argentina and other societies that have collapsed. Small groups get destroyed. They get run over by hordes of people that are hungry. That's why you need a survival group. You need a great plan to be able to survive this and find shelter in a cavern.
That's right. And if you don't have a group now, get extra supplies so that you can pull one together. And Terral, in terms of radiation, because that's going to be a real problem, as closing thought, tell folks what you think that they can do we talk about it at length in Planet X Forecast 2012 Survival Guide, but what are some of the easy, fast things that you could do for somebody that if they're not in a position where they can survive in place, they have to survive on the move, how do they deal with that?
No, sir. the way that you survive the solar storms, if you're talking about solar radiation, is you have to be underground. That's why the elites are going underground. You can't just be walking around outside. The magnetosphere is going to collapse, going to totally collapse. It's going to be stretched thin like spaghetti behind the Earth. And the people in the southern hemisphere are going to be looking at 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 days of one day, because of the way the Earth is tipped backwards, of solar storms. And you have to be deep in a cavern. That's the only answer that I know. If somebody knows a better answer, then let's hear it, because the only thing that I can see in my survival plan is to get underground.
That's it. That's it. And it's literally about putting as much dirt over dirt, rock, steel, and whatever, as much density over your head as you can, because then when the radiation comes, that's where it comes straight down. It does not, like heavy rain, it doesn't fall sideways from time to time. It's all going to come straight down on you. So wherever you are out there, even in your normal daily life, start being aware of places where, when there's a radiation storm, a solar flare, because that's one of the things that we have always seen, we've always talked about as a main threat. And I'll give you one tip we talk about in our book, and that is your cell phone is a great way to look around. You know, when you're at school, you're at work, you're at the mall, these are places you're likely going to be when these things pop. And walk around the outside with your cell phone, see how many bars of reception you get. Then walk inside the building and go to different places inside the building, and if you find one where you get 0 bars of reception, remember it, because that is going to be, in that building, probably about the safest place you're going to get. And, you know, it's good to get as far underground and away from this as you can, but my strategy has always been, it's the little things. And if you can do enough of the little things, it makes a big difference. And I agree with Terral about the acidophilus and making sure you can do water. These are terrible ways for people to die. Terrible ways for people to die, and you just don't want to do that, and it is avoidable. So with that, fellas, I think we're pretty much a wrap here on this first show, and we will keep following it. I welcome everyone to join us on the Planet X Town Hall. And there you will see, if you scroll on down to my topics for Marshall Masters, I have a heading there for the research team. Jump on in, share your information. It's free to join, but we are very firm about the requirements. You need to be straightforward with us. And with that, gentlemen, and to everyone, my motto, destiny comes to those who listen, and fate finds the rest. So learn what you can learn, do what you can do, and never give up hope. And this is Marshall for the team saying, we want to see you on the backside.